Many years ago, it was once thought humanity was alone in the universe, but that idea was soon extinguished when humanity launched Project Osiris. Discovering the ruins of a once thriving alien civilization, information quickly spread of this, and humanity became scared and fearful of the potential for alien races to attack. Now, 100 years later, humanity still holds that very real fear deep inside of itself, even more so with the events of the Great War. But it is not aliens for which most in the system of Alpha Centauri should be afraid, but instead the greater threat, humanity itself. Split between factions with different ideologies and ideas for how humanity should be reunified, war now seems only an inevitability of circumstance across the system, with the discovery of more and more broken human settlements and the intent shown by the technocracy and Confederates to exert control over them. War seems ever more likely to come. The Confederates, believing themselves the true masters of humanity, have labelled any who do not fall under their banner as rebels or terrorists to delegitimize their claims, especially those of Ares and any other human factions that still remain. Understanding that these factions will not come quietly into the Confederation, the Senate decided to come up with a budget that would massively increase military spending, develop new designs, and strengthen the position of the Confederation in space. The justifications for this are the liberation of former Confederate colonies, as well as the defense of New Solaris, with senators pointing to the fact that the Ares technocracy moved a vast armada of ships within only a few million kilometers of New Solaris. Estimates put their naval tonnage at 6 times that of the Confederation's, so while the technocracy may be labelled as rebels by many, it is unclear if the Confederation could even win a war against them at this time, and so the Senate, fearful of what could occur within a decade, ratified the budget in an attempt to safeguard the future of this fledgling Confederation. And with that ratification, the military became tasked with the goals of defending the Confederation at any cost and establishing a doctrine to build and design forces that would be able to combat the technocracy, but most importantly, allow the Confederates to dominate the system and the other human factions within it. The first ideas of the doctrine that they designed that became accepted were that of naval fleets built around mainline fleets with heavy firepower, while being supported by fast frigate squadrons. While these ideas were accepted, they had issues with the reality of the Navy. The fact was that the current makeup of the naval forces that the Confederates controlled were not ideal for their task. That's almost any doctrine set for itself in general, that they were not ideal. So, a decision was made that current era ships would fill roles to the best of their abilities, while the relic war vessels would act as the main line, providing significant firepower. This would allow the doctrine to come into fruition quickly, but this could not last forever, and soon a multitude of new proposals to develop new ships were given to the military. This was quickly exacerbated by the size of the technocracy's fleet, and so the military with these proposals set out determined to build up a modern navy that worked just as well as a part. But when it came to look towards a counterpart of the navy, the army, the capability just was not there to make improvements or adjustments, and instead the military would have to make do with the army they had, which became an increasing concern considering the upcoming Operation Liberatio. Operation Liberatio was the plan for a combined arms operation with the goal to capture Diana, which was formerly a Confederate colony. The operation gained authorization through this fact primarily, and within a short few weeks the plan was approved and forces began to gather. The plan called for a total of 6 troop transports as well as the 2nd Corvette Wing. These ships would be crewed by 1,143 naval personnel, and their purpose was to transport and protect ground forces in transit on their way to the operational area, a significant ground force at that, containing nearly half of the entire Confederate army. The 6 troop transports would carry the remainder of the 34th Infantry Regiment as well as both Confederate tank corps, equaling a total of 600 tanks, and as an occupying force, the 1st to 5th Militia groups would also be carried. This force was substantial and totaled over 17,250 military personnel, but it would take time to reach the intended target, as the transports were located above New Solaris and as such were not capable of substantial speed, causing them to require at least 35 days to reach Vulcan and 45 to reach Diana, their target. Meanwhile, their escorts, the 2nd Corvette Wing, were part of the 2nd Expeditionary Fleet, and then currently was located above Vulcan in the 1st star system, and as such would have to wait for the transports to arrive. Once the transports would arrive at Vulcan, they would be escorted to the planet of Diana, from which point ground operations would begin, with the plan calling for the deployment of infantry in an initial landing point to first secure it, and then await the heavy armour before making any significant pushes against hostile forces. These hostile forces were seen to the Confederates in the same light as the barbarians on New Solarius in earlier years, so it was believed that the war would be over quickly, and once the tank corps arrived, they would begin to push while the infantry followed in from behind, and eventually militia would be deployed for the use of garrisoning the territory captured by the tanks and infantry. Once all vital areas such as settlements, cargo stations, and military bases had been seized by the Confederate forces, the militia again would be left to control and deal with the populace on the planet, as well as handle any further guerrilla resistance that may arise, while the regulars would then prepare for their real target, the former colony of Apollo. Now with the plans of the Confederacy in motion, it won't be long before the outcome is determined. Disastrous or favourable, only one faction will be left standing in Alpha Centauri by the end of this, whether that be the Ares technocracy or the Confederation. Time will only tell. Hello and welcome to episode number 2 of Shattered Empire. As we saw in the intro, a lot has occurred between now and episode 1 as we prepare to deal with the threats facing us from the Ares technocracy, the invasion of Diana, and more. In this episode, we're going to be primarily focusing on that invasion as well as arming ourselves against the Ares technocracy, as currently it is the year 2180 on the 5th of June. Currently, I have set the 2nd Expeditionary Squadron to load up forces, as well as under the command of Praetor Casus Mutius, the forces currently in orbit of Vulcan right now, which are the 2nd Expeditionary Fleet with 3 corvettes, one of them commanded by Lucio Marco Canius, who some may know of, are preparing to receive the transports in about a month, from which point the invasion will be prepared and Diana will hopefully be captured. In terms of the budget decisions, we will have to make them once 2181 goes around. We're not able to at the moment, of course, because that funding has not been allocated for the year of 2180, but for the next year in that regard. So, let us continue along here as we move towards getting our expeditionary fleet to actually go to where it needs to go, and also the troop transports to go where it needs to go. So currently loading up the 5 militia groups remainder of the Confederate Regiment 34th, and then the 1st and 2nd Heavy Army support groups in particular. Once loaded up, we'll be immediately taking those over to where they need to go. We also, Ares has come around a little bit enough now, I believe, to get some sense of information on them. And so we are detecting some information in regards to that. Now, with the 1st Expeditionary Fleet, I made a decision that we are going to enter into training, if possible. The reason for this is we want to make sure that our ships are ready in the event of warfare, and as consul, I am fully authorizing this to occur. So I'm going to be placing the 1st Expeditionary Fleet under a training command that will be located over Defiance. Since we are not at a state of war yet, they will be able to project their power but also train up. We'll have to keep an eye on them, of course, though, because that will rapidly increase deployment times, rapidly increase maintenance lives, and more. So always do have to be a little bit careful of that. 2nd Military Transportation Squadron has now successfully managed to load up and get all of what it needs to be loaded, and we're going to send those directly over now to Vulcan. That will take 35 days. So here they go. 2nd Military Transportation Squadron is on the way, and let's have a make sure that our training is going okay here. Yeah, we're getting 3% training here. That is going to rapidly increase our deployment time though, so we've got to be very, very careful of that fact. We're currently only 24 days out. Continuing the increments, and if I have a look here, we should be continuing to get training done, if possible. Looks like we are, but it's taking a little bit of time. We're about 20 days now away. We have detected a new ship class, 38,000 tons, 243 kilometers per second. That is heading to Defiance? Not sure. Yeah, it's heading towards Defiance. I would presume that is some kind of fuel harvester, which is of some significant concern when we think about it. We're also going to now begin research of the 6-inch naval gun. Now, this is a plasma carronade and will be used in later ships. It was authorized for development in 2180 and for further development in 2181. And so we're going to be putting 5 labs into that to get ourselves a new weapon that will be able to outfit onto new vessels. We've also finished surveying New Caprica, and wow, that's pretty impressive in terms of the amount of resources. We've also detected a destroyed outpost on New Caprica. The Amsterdam Rust has completed all this. So if we have a look here, the ruined colony we have on New Solaris, and we also have dormant constructs on New Solaris. Combine that fact with now the colony on here and the minerals we have discovered. If we have a look, we have discovered some minerals. The all accessibility 1.1, it is something. It allows us to have a trickle of extra income coming in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to order the scientific transportation wing to load up a xenological survey battalion and take them over to New Caprica, which I'm going to make a colony, and I'm going to unload onto the colony specifically in an attempt to colonize essentially, and well, not colonize because we can't actually put people there because New Caprica is a very, very, very large planet. If we have a look at Centauri B, it is a 26,000 diameter world. It does have a breathable atmosphere. Largely breathable anyway, but the gravitational is 2.0, so it's more than 1G above that of Earth, and it's not habitable, just barely out of the habitability range. But we can get the ruins, and then we can take those things that we find and bring them back to New Solaris if they are valuable enough to. Anyway, second military transportation squadron is on the way, and in terms of our training, if we have a look over at training, we should be continuing on to train up our forces, and we're going to continue to move towards now. First transportation wing has successfully managed to transport those scientific xenological battalions onto the planet. Hopefully they'll be able to discover some things. We are now continuing to close in. And we got some interrupts, but everything looks fine so far. The Eltan has completed orders and has managed to survey New Venus. New Venus has... Wow, okay, that is a lot more valuable to us. New Venus currently with almost every kind of mineral. That has to be every kind of mineral, no? Is it missing anything? Alpha Centauri A, New Venus. It has good amount of uranium, good amount of neutronium, good amount of it has some cobalt, but low accessibility. Good amount of boron, accessibility. Good amount of magnesium, some thorium, corundium, gallicite. Wow, that is going to be a very important area to colonize in the future. So got to be obviously very interested in potentially colonizing that and securing it as a auto mine base. Okay, where are the troop transports? Troop transports are currently 7 days out, so it looks like the actions are going to take place in August. It's likely to anyway. Okay, second transportation squadron has completed and has arrived. And now we're going to combine the second transportation squadron. So I'm going to put under a sub-fleet under the second expeditionary fleet. And then once that has joined under that second expeditionary fleet, I'm going to order the second, under Praetor Cassius Mutius, is going to be ordered directly to move towards Diana. Slowly, that will take about 10 days of time. So I'm going to not go too fast here. We're about halfway there now, about 5 days out, as we escort the troop transports. Okay. So far, no detections. We have detection now. We estimate, what is that, 1,000 thermal, 1,000 electromagnetic. We detect a ground signature of 38,000 tons. That's pretty significant. That's up from what we previously had. Well, the operation has to go how it goes. This could be a disaster if that's 3 times more than expected. Alright, we're going to continue to move. What ranges could they have of surface assault weapons? Well, we're going to hope they don't have any surface assault weapons. Okay, looks like they do not. At least they're within range at the moment. We have not sustained any fire on approach so far. Second Expeditionary Fleet has arrived within 70 kilometers. We can probably safely say that they do not have any surface-to-orbit weapons. So we're going to immediately create a colony on Diana and begin to unload all ground forces from the bay. And here we go. Operation Liberatio is underway, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully it can succeed. It's going to take a day to unload all of the transports that we're going to be... Wait. Did I not load the extras on Vulcan? Due to some bad planning from the... due to some bad planning from high command, they forgot that they actually had to bring a couple of extra battalions with them. And so they are going to have to take some extra time, which means that the landing is going to have to be delayed significantly here. Okay, looks like they're orbiting Diana. So that is, we're now in August, and we've landed all the forces onto the planet. The 34th Confederate Regiment, the Prowling Lions, currently on planet. We're going to make sure that they are properly doing what they need to be doing. So rear echelon for the high regiments. We're going to go for frontline attack on our larger tank battalions. That is their primary purpose, to surge forward, hit the enemy, and to hopefully break through their lines. So we're going to do this for all formations with the same template. And then for the infantry, we're going to leave them on frontline defense to build up fortification levels, and the militia will also be doing the same kind of screening forward as well. Second Expeditionary Fleet will stay in orbit. We may also want to do some orbital bombardment support, but I believe, according to the Praetor, as well as various military advisors, we do not want to risk any civilian casualties at this time. So we're going to be holding out in regards to that. Exalted in Beliefs having some fuel issues. Yeah, so we're going to have to bring a tanker over. I believe we do have a tanker orbiting Vulcan, so we're going to bring that tanker over to the 2nd Expeditionary Fleet and help to refuel. Okay, here we go. First combat phase. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is the results you are waiting for. First combat, so 3 battalions, the heavy support groups as well, the combat engineers, interestingly enough, managed to break through. We estimate they have armed civilians, armored trucks, heavy weapon crews, bombardment crews, so a lot of ragtag forces here. A lot of gunfire was dished out. We managed to kill... We managed to kill 90 or 900... Like, they're not armed civilians, armed terrorists, okay? We are not killing civilians here, ladies and gentlemen. We are killing terrorists. 941 armed civilians down, 231 heavy weapons crews, and many, many others. We are absolutely ripping through. We only lost 2 Greyhound self-propelled artillery weapons. What a smashing success. The heavy support group Roaring Thunder killed 258 armed civilians, 48 heavy weapon crews, 43 armored trucks, 25 armed militia, and 19 bombardment crews. Wow, an absolute smashing success. MMG is just mowing through targets. And this, is very similar in how New Solaris was taken. An elite, actual trained, standardized fighting force versus essentially a bunch of ragtag civilian groups here. Another breakthrough has been committed here. 1,671 armed civilians, not a single unit lost, as our tanks just seem to be rolling through the terrain, mowing down enemies, and we're just getting through them like it's butter. And I'm going to give the order. I think Queso would give the order in this regard. Full advance. Full advance. There is no step back. We're going all formations attack. We'll leave the militia to gain fortification level, but we're going in. We're going in. And that gives breakthroughs to almost everyone now, as we're starting to cut through 3,000 more civilian or armed barbarians died within the last 8 hours there. And we suffered no losses of our own. A smashing success and exactly what we are looking for here. We're continuing to press the advantage as our tanks and infantry battalions continue to hit into the enemy. And it seems that we managed to get through most, if not all, of the remainder. We killed all the logistics teams. It seems they had logistics teams on the surface. And in only a short, I think that was, what, a day and a half of fighting, we have managed to completely win the battle, and the enemy forces on Diana have surrendered. What are our spoils of war? 8.1 million people on the planet of Diana, 2,000 infrastructure around that, and they also have that xenological installation, which we will want, apparently, which we will want to look at. We haven't surveyed the planet, of course, because we didn't want to risk any surface-to-orbit weapon capability fires, but this now means that Diana is incorporated in, well, loose terms currently, into the Confederation once more, and that is very, 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 very happy to think about indeed. So yeah, human political status conquered. We're going to have to keep forces here for now. Our militia group should be able to keep people relatively well handled and dealt with, and we shouldn't have too many issues regarding that. There are some occupation needed, but we should have enough occupation strength, hopefully anyway, to be able to bring these people back in. We could also ship them out, but we now have an extra 4.45 million workers, which we can send to New Solaris as required here. Yeah, what an amazing attack. I think that the Praetor is going to be very, very happy with that. A governor will be needed to reside. The Senate will have to convene on who will be allowed to control Diana and essentially the inner solar system as governor, as a province. And now means that we are in control again of Diana and a proper population presence in the side relating to the inner solar system. Now we need to consolidate that fact. I'm going to order for the 2nd Military Transportation Squadron to move forces, keep most of the forces here at Diana, but I'm going to actually move off the 5th as well as the we're going to move off the 5th, and not sure why. Oh yeah, we need to do this. So the 5th and the 4th armed militia groups, and those will be going back to Vulcan for specifically to help with just garrison duty, essentially. We just want to make sure that we have some forces there that are building up fortification levels, and we may actually dispatch a little bit more than that. Okay, tank has arrived as well. I'm going to have the 2nd Military Squadron detach, and then begin to load up. It's got the 4th and 5th. I'm also going to load the one of the combat engineer battalions, brick wall. We're going to grab brick wall. Once grabbed, we're going to bring those over to New Solaris, not New Solaris, to Vulcan. And in that capacity, we are going to send. We're going to need to refuel from the Cyclops. So let's begin immediate refuel efforts, as will be required, or not the Cyclops, my bad, the mission to Parla. Refuel from stationary tankers. We're going to have to wait a little bit on the Cyclops to arrive. Oh, that's the Cyclops, not the tanker. Ah, I see. Well, you guys can head then back towards the tanker and go and refuel if possible. That'll take you 600 million kilometers. 1% of the fuel, just enough to get back, and we managed to refuel there. And yeah, we've really exerted our presence now over this part. The next question is Apollo. Would an invasion of Apollo be authorized at this point? I would think so. And as consul, and I believe my co-consuls as well as the praetors would believe, we are going to have the 2nd Military Squadron, once they have deployed there, going to hold at Vulcan. Hold at Vulcan, and then I'm going to have the Cyclops stay in system, and then I'm going to have them head back to New Solaris, and we're going to pick up 2 more regiments of forces, specifically. Yeah, 2 more regiments, and I think we're going to get preparing to potentially invade Apollo at this point. And in that regard, I believe we're going to need to reroute forces. But for now, we're going to prepare by moving back the main transportation fleet. In the year of 2181, we'll have to decide if we were willing to attack Apollo. Apollo is a much bigger target. We estimate around 100 kilotons worth of forces there, as well as there could potentially be, with more of them, more higher quality troops. And so we need to be very, very concerned of that fact and careful indeed. Either way, I'm extremely happy with this fact that we now have Diana under our control. This is a significant advancement for us. I mean, I can't state it enough, right? It's a big deal. So we're now just going to wait for everyone to keep moving. We have our tanker over here right now in the 2nd Expeditionary Fleet. How much longer until they will need to return home? They can largely stay where they need to go. The Barlett, you're going to need to... we're going to have the Barlett return home, refuel, resupply. Then... once you've refueled, resupply, head to Diana and begin a geological survey of Diana. And actually, you don't need to do that. You're just going to go home, and then you are going to go and geologically survey Diana. And then for the 2nd Expeditionary Fleet, they can largely stay here just fine. In terms of the 1st Expeditionary Fleet, their deployment time's kind of going down, as well as their fuel to get their training level up. So I'm going to move them back into the 1st Naval Flotilla. And I'm going to order them back to New Solaris for a quick refuel, shore leave, and then once they have stayed there for a little bit, we'll move them back out. Okay, 1st Expeditionary Fleet, complete orders. Okay, looks like due to insufficient occupation force. Looks like they are not liking the fact that we are occupying them in such a manner. And we may need to bring over more forces. The problem at the moment is that I believe this is a bug in regards to in regards to the fact that we need to provide a certain amount of protection or occupation, but it's like 100 times more than what's actually needed to. So that is, yeah, we're just going to say that they're practically ungovernable for now until we can figure out some sort of solution here. Barlett has arrived and completed orders orbiting New Solaris now. And we're continuing to survey further vessels. Unvessels arriving on Diana due to an insufficient occupation force. Yep. We may want to move population off, honestly. Just take the humans and leave the colony. But we will see in that fact. So now we're surveying. We've surveyed Diana, and we have found that there's a ruined city, of course. And there's uranium, 0.3 access, neutronium, some corbomite, renderite, iridium, and galacite. So some various trace amounts of metals and minerals on Diana. But most importantly, it's going to have that city on it, and that's what's going to be most important. Now, the Alatan, we're going to have you head straight home now as we wrap up essentially our expedition into the inner system. We still have our expeditionary fleet here providing our power projection, but I think that's where I'm going to leave the episode off, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It's been really a lot of work's been put into these episodes, and while not a lot happened, we're currently in September of 2180, practically the end of the year, so we'll be moving to 2181 next year. We have Operation Liberatio was a major success. We have successfully taken Diana. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you again, and consider becoming a member. Bye-bye.